Alvarez here. You're listening to the Kicking Out Podcast, a podcast about All Elite Wrestling, hosted by Tanner Lee, Paul Zartman, and Austin Shepard.
You are listening to the number one AEW podcast, the Kicking Out Podcast, a podcast about All Elite Wrestling, hosted by my favorite host, Tanner Lee, Paul Zartman, and Austin Shepard. So if you want to know everything that's going on in the world of All Elite Wrestling, AEW, then you need to listen to the Kicking Out Podcast. Please tell Thunder Rosa I said hello.
What's going on, KOP Nation? It is Sunday. It is June 22nd, 2025. So you know what that means. A brand new episode of the Kicking Out Podcast, streaming on the Kicking Out Podcast YouTube channel as well as our Facebook page. Hit that like button, hit that notification bell, hit that follow button. Do all those things. You can find us on any social media platform. I shouldn't say any. Facebook, X, Instagram, Blue Sky, YouTube at Kicking Out Pod, and also on any major podcast platform. So follow us on there. Give us that 5-star rating and review. We really appreciate it. If you're watching on YouTube and Facebook, you can see it is just me, Tanner Lee, this week. No Paul, no Shep. That is because we are doing things completely different this week. Today, Sunday, June 22nd, is a different day for the Kicking Out Podcast. It's a big day in the state of Indiana, big night, I should say, the state of Indiana, the state that all three of us live in, as our NBA team, the Indiana Pacers, are playing Game 7 tonight of the NBA Finals at the Oklahoma City Thunder at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We usually go live with this podcast at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time, but none of us wanted to miss the game. Usually we don't have an issue recording episodes during games, but this one's a little different, saying that Game 7's for it all, for the whole shebang, for the NBA Finals, and the Pacers have never won the Finals in their franchise history, so it's a pretty big deal. Basketball is a huge deal in the state of Indiana at the professional level, the collegiate level, and at the high school level. So we take our basketball very seriously. But with all that said, I wanted to make sure to get some content out this week for you all. Too much has happened in AEW over this past week since we last recorded last Sunday to not get something out, share some of my thoughts. So while you're seeing this live right now on YouTube and on Facebook, it was actually recorded earlier today. So that's why I won't be fielding any questions or comments. But next week we should be back. Hopefully all three of us should be back at our same time, live at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But hopefully you and I can have some fun tonight if you're watching this or listening at a later time. And the other guys were right there with me. Shep was busy today, so couldn't record before our usual time, and he wanted to watch the Pacer game. Paul was working until 8 p.m. tonight and then wanted to watch the Pacer game after work. So that's why I'm doing it a little differently this week. We're doing it a little differently this week, I should say. But still wanted to get something out there for you all, because we appreciate you tuning in every week, whether you're a loyal, constant viewer or listener of the podcast. We appreciate you all the same. So with all that said, all that housekeeping, let's get right into it. Let's talk about some of the news that has happened around AEW this week. There's plenty of it. So I'm going to dive right in, with some of that being former AEW Tag Team Champions, the Guns, Austin Gunn and Colton Gunn. It's been speculated why they haven't been on television lately. Are they hurt? Are they just not being used? What's going on? Well, Austin Gunn gave a one-word answer on whether he and Colton are hurt. And it was on Twitter. He was replying to a user named Fox named Petty. And when asked about their health status and if they're hurt, he said, nope, exclamation point. So the last time we saw them on TV, their last in-ring appearance, they unsuccessfully challenged the Hurt Syndicates, Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin, for the AEW Tag titles. They were sidelined in late months of 2024 and early 2025 due to an undisclosed injury that reportedly prevented Austin from traveling. They returned on February 5th by accepting an open invite to challenge Lashley and Benjamin for their titles the following week. The Guns previously held the AEW Tag Team titles themselves in 2023, with their reign spanning over 56 days. So, I don't know why they're not being used. Maybe they're waiting for Juice Robinson and Jay White to return, so they have the Bullet Club Gold, the Bang Bang Gang as a whole. I'm not sure. Haven't heard of anything lately as far as Jay White, but Dave Meltzer of the Wrestling Observer newsletter did have some reports, some injury report updates on some absent AEW stars. Starting with Juice Robinson, Meltzer claims that Juice Robinson is not far away from making a full-time return. Rock Hard Juice Robinson broke his fibula during his first match of his 2024 Continental Classic run. He's been out of action for almost 7 months. A report was released in May about how Robinson had been relatively healthy for some time and was working hard to get back to the ring, but there's been no word of when that will happen. Hook has also been absent from AEW in recent months, last wrestling on April 9th episode of Dynamite, where he looked to have suffered a concussion. Despite making a cameo during the Anarchy and the Arena match at Double or Nothing, Hook confirmed that he's not been in action due to a concussion. That Meltzer confirmed that his ankle is on hold until he comes back. As for the likes of Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, and the scapegoat Jack Perry, they're simply not being used despite still having time on their current deals. In Britt's case, she hasn't been used since November 2024, and her deal runs until early 2026, which could be extended due to as much time as she spent away from the ring due to injuries, whereas Perry, who also hasn't been used since November, is reportedly healthy and waiting for the company to have something for him, which it was previously reported that they were going to go with a feud against Kenny Omega for Jack Perry when Kenny made his return in early 2025. But that, of course, was tabled and changed in a different direction. So it is kind of unique and interesting as to why Perry hasn't been used at all with the Young Bucks in the Elite storyline, with the Death Riders and everything going on there. I think you can fit him in somewhere, but for whatever reason, he hasn't been used. I feel like there's a lot of talent in AEW. We could ask that question: why is he or she not being used? And it is kind of frustrating as a fan, particularly if that talent is healthy and able to be used. If they're injured, that's a whole nother scenario, another topic of discussion. But I guess time will tell. Also got a backstage update on the injury status of Jamie Hayter. Fightful Select indicates that Hayter hasn't been able to get cleared for full ring activity. Following Hayter's match at AEW Double or Nothing, Fightful Select contacted the wrestler to ask about her health and injury status, with Hayter stating that she was okay. The segment with Tekla played out shortly after, though the lights were turned off for some of Tekla's attack. This was reportedly because Hayter wasn't totally cleared and the company had to work around the issue. Additionally, Hayter was not present for last week's 4-hour block of AEW Dynamite and Collision. Sources within the promotion relayed that she wouldn't have been used if she'd been available. She would have been used if she'd been available, hinting that she was dealing with an injury. Still, people inside AEW are said to be hopeful that Hayter won't be out too long. The beatdown segment with Hayter took place on May 28th and served as the AEW debut for Tekla. Since she's since wrestled on consecutive Wednesday episodes of AEW Collision, defeating Lady Frost and Queen Amanetta, while the match against Hayter seems to be temporarily put on hold. So, yeah, I mean, that definitely seems like the first big feud for Tekla, Jamie Hayter. And I've stated before, previously on the podcast, I think that's the perfect first dancing partner for Tekla. Her and Jamie Hayter will have a physical match, a hard-hitting match. I think Tekla will go over, but that'll be okay. That won't hurt Jamie at all. And, of course, will will hurry up, I guess, Tekla's progression in AEW and boost her on towards the top of the women's division there. Let's see, what else do we have? Other injury reports. Harley Cameron underwent surgery to repair her injured nose, and she promised vengeance. This was on X. I can't see I can't see much right now, but Vengeance is starting to look really good. So yeah, of course they did that storyline angle where it appeared she had broken her nose, suffered at the hands of Megan Bain by being dropped onto a set of steel steps at ringside. But that was intentionally incorporated into storyline to write her off television, so she'd get her surgery. So post-surgery recovery is unknown. So we will see when she returns to the AEW Women's Division. Let's see any other backstage injury reports. How about Bryan Danielson? There's a backstage update on his in-ring future. The final countdown. I'm seeing Bryan Danielson return to the ring is maybe getting close, with so much excitement that came out of AEW and ROH's cross-promotional events with CMLL this past week. Nothing compared to the thunderous roar from the crowd when Danielson made an appearance at Arena Mexico. Coming in to make the save for Blue Panther after his match against Lee Moriarty as part of the ROH Global Wars tapings, the American Dragon rushed in and hit a running knee strike on Shane Taylor. With hope in many people's hearts, there's one big question that remains. Is Danielson cleared to compete? And if so, how soon will he return? The last time Danielson was on any programming, it was brutal as he lost his AEW World Championship, partnership, and full-time career to Jon Moxley and the Death Riders crew in Danielson's home state of Washington at Wrestle Dream in October. Danielson's admitted last year that he needed to have neck surgery, but was putting it off as long as he could. Fast forward 8 months later, Fightful reported recently that they have not heard from anyone in AEW if the former world champion went through with neck surgery or not. With Danielson hitting a running knee to Shane Taylor, it remains to be seen how confident he feels to returning to the ring. AEW has been very careful to say that Danielson was effectively done as a full-time talent when Danielson was wrapping up most of his recent run, knowing that he could come back, according to Fightful. In addition, those Fightful spoke within AEW did mention that certain things have been done and set up whenever it is that Danielson can return, if that ends up being the case, mainly with teases by Wheeler Yuta, who was Danielson's former protege, taking and using moves out of Danielson's playbook, like the label lock and the double wrist lock, followed by stomps, to name a few. Since his in-ring hiatus, Danielson hasn't stepped too far away from the squared circle. He serves as a creative consultant with occasional appearances backstage. Additionally, he has made several media appearances, including at Globe Life Field in December to help promote All In Texas and backstage at Dynasty in April. Danielson's appearance at Arena Mexico closed out all of the ROH and AEW tapings. So, yeah, I think we haven't seen the last of Bryan Danielson in as far as his in-ring career goes. I think AEW was smart touting that late last year in 2024 as the end of his full-time in-ring career. You know, I could see him doing this as long as he wants to and as long as he can stay healthy, maybe participating in 2 to 3 matches a year or something like that. You know, use him on a very limited part-time schedule, bring him in for big events every year like Revolution or Double or Nothing, or particularly All In, some of your bigger pay-per-views, setting up some stories and matches there. I think that'd be great. Anytime we get Bryan Danielson on TV, it's great. So, and I saw all the tweets and stuff out there for the IWC complaining, like, why did they have him come back at Global Wars? And, you know, I think they're just testing a few things. I definitely think he's going to be a player at All In, and I personally think he gets involved in the Jon Moxley Hangman main event match for the AEW Championship. I mean, the Death Riders wrote him off completely back in October. Makes perfect sense for that to come full circle and he to get involved. I mean, he could kind of play the role like The Undertaker did for Cody Rhodes against Roman Reigns last year at night 2 of WrestleMania 40 in Philadelphia. You know, Undertaker appears, takes out The Rock. So I could definitely see a lot of cameos and run-ins being made on July 12th at All In Texas for the World Heavyweight Championship main event. I think it makes perfect sense. Perfect sense. Backstage report on issues with WWE and AEW talent being on American Gladiators. So yes, American Gladiators is premiering soon on Amazon Prime Video. It's been confirmed already that former WWE champion, current WWE superstar The Miz will act as the host, while a number of gladiators themselves are current or former wrestlers. Former WWE superstar Rick Boogs, OVW star J-Rod, and former TNA Tag Team champion Jesse Gutierrez, who currently works in OVW alongside with J-Rod, will all be involved, as will current AEW stars Camille and Wardlow. The involvement of Camille and Wardlow reportedly rubbed one wrestling company the wrong way, and in the latest edition of the Wrestling Observer newsletter, Dave Meltzer has confirmed that it was WWE who had a problem with The Miz working with performers contracted to AEW, even if Camille and Wardlow have not been used in AEW for some time. Meltzer noticed that the biggest question surrounding the show, now that filming has started, is if The Miz will not only interact with Camille and Wardlow on the show, but also promote WWE with the AEW stars on the show. However, the opposite question could also apply in Meltzer's eyes, as Camille and Wardlow could be used to promote AEW while The Miz is on screen, only angering WWE further. Yeah, let me know in the comments if you guys plan on tuning into American Gladiators on Amazon Prime Video. Normally I wouldn't, but with some wrestling talent being in the mix, particularly Wardlow, I'm a big Wardlow fan. Frustrated how AEW's used him and feel like they've dropped the ball with him many, many times. But with Wardlow being in the mix, participating on the show, I plan on tuning in, at least occasionally. So let me know in the comments if you plan on tuning into American Gladiators. And if you're a fan of American Gladiators, I know the show's been around for 40-some years now in different variations. So let me know. And lastly, for the news, Tony Khan comments on the recent Warner Brothers Discovery split and how it could possibly affect AEW. Warner Brothers Discovery announced earlier this month that it will soon split into two separate companies known as Global Networks and Streaming and Studios. WBD CEO David Zaslav will continue to lead Streaming and Studios as a CEO, while WBD's CFO Gunnar Weidenfels, I believe is how you pronounce his last name, will become the CEO of Global Networks. Speaking with Yahoo Finance at the Cannes Lions Festival, AEW CEO Tony Khan was asked to comment on the separation and any potential fallout for his promotion. Tony Khan says, and I quote, "I know that AEW, for both sides of where Warner Brothers is going, we have great relationships with everybody at the top." Khan said, "We are a big part of TBS and TNT, the crown jewels of the Global Network side, and we're also a huge now part of Streaming and Studios with AEW streaming every week, so it's exciting." According to Khan, both Zaslav and Weidenfels played personal roles in helping negotiate the last media rights deal between WBD and AEW, and it doesn't sound as though Khan anticipates any problems from the split. At any rate, the deal likely won't be finalized until the middle of next year, and AEW's current contract, which still will be honored. What might change is the negotiation process the next time around. AEW's current deal with WBD is expected to run through 2028. Throughout the recent interview, Khan projected optimism for his company's future and stated that they've had a strong financial year thus far. Next up, the promotion will debut in a new country with, of course, that was written Wednesday as AEW Grand Slam Mexico was taking place in historic Arena, Mexico, which I will talk about here coming up now. So, yes, we did have AEW Grand Slam Mexico take place Wednesday night. I thought it was fantastic. Another fun show. It was a 2.5 hour taping, starting at 8:00 p.m. Eastern time and ending around 10:30 p.m. Eastern time. And it was cool that they announced that ahead of time. So it wasn't one of those cases where we thought it was going to be a 2-hour show and then Tony was a sicko like always and did an overrun. It was actually promoted as being a 2.5 hour show. But what a fun show it was. What an atmosphere. I think I can easily say, without even questioning myself, that crowd down there in Arena, Mexico was AEW's best crowd of 2025 yet. At least that wasn't a pay-per-view crowd. It might have been their best overall crowd in 2025 yet. You could probably make the case, even up against their crowds of their pay-per-views, that it was their best crowd they've had. That crowd was on fire all night long. Awesome arena. I mean, anybody that's a big pro wrestling fan is familiar with Arena Mexico and the setup. But it was a packed house. Awesome. I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to seeing AEW have a future pay-per-view down there at Arena Mexico. I think those fans deserve it. So they definitely should make a stop there at least every year for some type of TV taping for sure. And, I'll go through some of my likes and dislikes now for this week, not only on Dynamite, but last night's Collision from Seattle as well, which I got to be honest, I didn't catch the whole episode, but I caught enough from what I did see to explain to you what I liked and didn't like. But one thing I did like on Dynamite was how they opened the show. A very unique way with Hangman Adam Page cutting a promo entirely in Spanish, which if I didn't already know that he was a former graphic design and journalism teacher at the high school level before he got into professional wrestling full time, I would have thought maybe that Hangman was a Spanish teacher. So I thought his Spanish was pretty darn good, but that comes from a guy who actually dropped out of Spanish class in high school. Long story, rabbit hole for a different day, different pod. But no, Hangman did good. Of course, I saw people complaining, well, it would have been nice to know what he was saying. Well, Excalibur tried to translate it along the way a little bit. And if you go to the AEW social media accounts now, since Wednesday's taping finished, they do have the promo fully translated on there. So basically, he promised to get back at Jon Moxley, and I pretty much hinted at that he'd be involved getting back at Moxley later that night after the main event. So I thought it was really good. I thought it was fun. Crowd seemed to enjoy it. So definitely an A for effort for sure. So, another one of my likes, I thought the tag match between the Callis family and allies versus the enemies of the family, we'll call it, was pretty good. It was a 14-man tag match, so you're going to have a lot of wild spots. Not everything's going to be clean at all times, but I thought it was pretty good. I thought it was interesting that the crowd was booing Atlantis Senior, Atlantis and Atlantis Junior every time, even though they're supposed to be on the babyface side. But in the end, Atlantis Junior, Bandito, Adam Cole, Daniel Garcia, Brody Keane, and Tipolero defeated Hichisaro, Josh Alexander, Konosuke Takeshita, Kyle Fletcher, Lance Archer, Valador Jr., and Dax Harwood by pinfall. So Cash Wheeler was not a part of this match, which was interesting. So, yeah, but I don't know. Some people I saw thought it would have been a better idea to put Bandito, Brody Keane, or Adam Cole in the spot to get the win over the baby faces instead of Atlantis. But even though, even if this was supposed to end the rivalry of FTR versus Atlantis, it says so. Stokely Hathaway announced before the match that Cash Wheeler could not make for an event, setting up a change to the match. Hichisaro got massive cheers when he was working solo. Found that interesting. Bandito, huge cheers throughout the match. And one thing I want to mention while we're talking about Bandito a little bit is I think AEW's done a really good job on shopaew.com of getting his mask up there, something they should have done easily for Penta and Phoenix when they're in the company. But I think they've learned their lesson now because now you can get on there and get a Bandito mask and a hologram mask. If that's up your alley, something they definitely should have done for the Lucha Bros when they were under AEW contract. And they just left money on the table there. And Brody Keane coming out with an Abolish ICE t-shirt and had the whole crowd barking when he was involved. So interesting there. Not the first time we've seen AEW talent wear a shirt that can be controversial, no matter your opinion of the issue. We've seen Hangman wear some stuff in the past. We've seen Punk wear some stuff in the past, among some others. So I think it's cool that AEW gives their talent freedom to wear merch that has messages that they believe in or don't believe in on their shirts, whereas WWE and other promotions would definitely not allow that. So one of my dislikes, Okada versus Mark Briscoe, and it was nothing against the match, which saw Okada beat Mark by pinfall. It was once again just another weekly use of Mark Briscoe. I know I sound like a broken record at this point. I think Mark Briscoe is great. I like the person he is. I think he's fun. He's a crazy son of a bitch. But at the same time, when we're getting him on TV every single week and sometimes multiple times per week, he's just getting a little stale for me. I'm sorry. I just would like to see him take a couple weeks off and come back. But I just don't see that happening. So, an interesting thing is, since we're talking about Okada, kind of tied into Collision last night, found out on Collision that he is now part of the Don Callis family. That's a dislike for me. That gets a thumbs down. Don't think Don Callis family needs another member. I don't understand why Okada's joining a faction when he's already supposed to be a part of the Elite. My question is he still part of the Elite? Is he just now fully Don Callis family? Is he still part of both? Is this only a move to try to further getting in Kenny Omega's head before their matchup on July 12th at AEW All in Texas for the Unified Championship? I don't know, but I don't like it. Don't like it. But something that does get a like for me was Kota Ibushi's return to AEW TV last night to confront the Callis family with Mark Briscoe and square off with Okada. And we're getting his return as far as in-ring for AEW coming up Wednesday on Dynamite. I thought Kota looked awesome. He looked jacked. Hopefully he looks closer to the old Kota Ibushi than the previous Kota we saw on AEW television. That's all we can hope for. Hopefully he's in a little better mental space now and better physical shape. He certainly looks to be in better physical shape. So, but that was a surprise, and that was a good thumbs up and a like for me from last night's collision. Mystico versus MJF, definitely a thumbs up for me. Thought this was great. MJF playing the big time heel, coming out in the all the American garb and everything. He did lose this match by disqualification, kicking Mystico right in the nuts. In a few notable moments, this was the first time AEW fans have heard Mystico come out to Mimero by La Five Extensión, I think. I cannot, like I said, I dropped out of Spanish in high school for a reason. The whole crowd sang along with the theme. It was one of the best entrances AEW's ever aired, according to a lot of people on the IWC. Of course, MJF wore red, white, and blue plaid bodysuit, came out swinging the American flag. MVP Bobby Lashley, Shelton Benjamin stood to protect MJF outside, allowing him to cheap shot. A few others there. MJF tried to get a late advantage by spitting in the eyes of Mystico, then poking him in the eye. Yeah. Then at the end, we saw MJF get disqualified. Lashley and Benjamin come in the ring, beating down Mystico, and then MJF removing Mystico's mask, putting it on himself, causing major heat in the crowd. And supposedly, according to backstage reports afterwards at the hotel, some fans tried to get into it with MJF. So definitely old school heat here for sure. Something we've seen happen to other American talents when they go down to Mexico and play in the roles as the heel. But I like this. I'm hoping this sets up a match between rematch, I should say, between Mystico and MJF at AEW All in Texas. And I've seen a lot of buzz online that they think it should be a hair versus mask match. And that'd be a lot of fun, especially if MJF lost, had to shave his head bald. Then he could be bald just like his fellow stablemates in the Hurt Syndicate with Shelton Benjamin and Bobby Lashley. So don't know if MJF would do that or not, but hey, his role of Happy Gilmore 2 is already filmed, done with, will be airing in late July. So yeah, that'll be interesting. And speaking of that, there's been a report circulating online that the WWE wants to get a version of the Happy Gilmore 2 trailer from Netflix that doesn't involve MJF that they can promote during the upcoming episodes of Monday Night Raw, which I think is funny. I mean, if they're doing those sorts of things on top of all the counter programming they're doing on July 12th with running Great American Bash, and then Saturday night's main event with Goldberg's, what it sounds like it's going to be his retirement match against Gunther. Yeah, they're not worried about AEW. Okay, and doing Evolution on the 13th, the day after. Okay, all right, whatever you say. But big thumbs up for me for the whole Mystico MJF match and all the angles they ran with that. The 4 million pesos high flying 4-way match. I mean, I love flippity flop action, so I enjoyed a lot of this match. A Hologram in the end defeated Rouge, Ricochet, and Dorado by pinfall. Hologram still doesn't get many L's, so this didn't surprise me at all. So, good match. I had no problem with it. Got a thumbs up for me. The CMLL Women's World Championship match. This got a thumbs up for me. A lot of people, I'm sure, including definitely my two co-hosts, Shep and Paul, they would have gave it a thumbs down because the belt collector, Mercedes Moné, one of the all-time women's GOATs, in my opinion, on my Mount Rushmore all-time women's greats. And I know I'm going to catch some heat. I expect to get some heat in the comments next week when we're back to doing this live after just making this statement. But she is one of my GOATs and on my Mount Rushmore. Mercedes, for women wrestling, I should say. Mercedes Moné got her 6th championship. She was victorious, winning the CMLL Women's World title. And I'll be honest, she's got 6 titles now. I thought it would do her well to lose at least the TBS title before All In when she challenges Toni Storm, timeless Toni Storm, for the women's title. But I don't think they're going down that road. So as of right now, on June 22nd, my prediction for All In is Toni's victorious. She defends her title successfully against Mercedes because it does really nobody good for Mercedes to have that many titles coming out of All In. And it would make more sense if she lost a lot of them and then gained the Women's World Championship. But I don't think they'll go in that direction. So, but the CEO becoming a 6 belt champ, or 6 talent that wears 6 belts. I don't know how I want to phrase it. Gets a thumbs up for me. So, and the streamers flowing in the ring after title change, that was a lot. So, and Toni Storm came out for a surprise attack afterwards. So, yeah, their feud's starting to heat up a little bit more. I mean, we are less than 3 weeks away now from All In Texas, 3 weeks from yesterday. So we're getting there. And we saw the Death Riders, the Young Bucks, and Beast Mortos making his first CMLL appearance, I think, in about 14 years. And speaking of the CEO, it was announced that Beast Mortos and the CEO, Mercedes Moné, are in a relationship. So Mortos is not only a lawyer now, he's the boyfriend of Mercedes Moné. They took on the Ops, Swerve Strickland, and Will Ospreay in a fun, wild main event match that definitely got a thumbs up from me. In the end, Beast Mortos, John Moxley, the Young Bucks, and Wheeler Yuta defeated Powerhouse Hobbs, Samoa Joe, Will Ospreay, Shibata, and Swerve Strickland by pinfall. There's a lot of fun spots in this match, a lot of action. And after the match, we saw Hangman come out. There's a lot of good stuff here. I mean, I'm pumped for Hangman and Moxley at All In. I'm pumped for the Bucks versus Ospreay and Swerve. Still waiting for Hook to come back to get involved with this Ops storyline. Claudio Castagnoli had travel issues, so Beast Mortos was added as a late replacement in the main event. That's why I said Mortos hasn't been in involvement with CMLL for about 14 years down in Mexico, so it's nice to see him do that. I liked how Ospreay came out with a head bandage and a black eye from last week. Good touch there. Kind of looked like Jackie Moon, in my opinion, with his bandage. Kind of looked like Jackie Moon's white headband with the curly hair. That was pretty good. He did get the biggest pop of any entrance, but Samoa Joe's first tag in, man, to beat up Wheeler Yuta. The crowd was rocking for Joe big time. Loved themselves some Joe. So Mox was the most hated man in the arena, though Wheeler Yuta was not far off. Yeah, say what you will about Wheeler Yuta, but he plays his role as a little shit absolutely perfectly. He gets booed at most arenas they go to. F you, Wheeler. F you, Yuta chance. Good stuff. The Young Bucks could not do anything to Hobbs. It took Wheeler Yuta choking him out in a kick from Mox to finally bring Powerhouse down to a knee during the match. So overall, I give the trip down to Arena Mexico for Grand Slam Mexico 2 thumbs up for me. Overall grade of an A if we're going on that scale, on the grading scale. We're going on a metric from 0 to 10, which we like to do a lot. I thought it was a very strong show. I'll go with an 8.6. One of my biggest takeaways for thumbs down for the show is just lack of involvement for the women. Only one women's match, even though it was a CMLL Women's World Title match, and it was a good match. Just same old. Just don't know when things will change. AEW's got to do better at that. Their women's division's too talented and too deep of a roster to only have one match in one other brief backstage segment. Just got to do better. And I thought they did better last night on Collision with the women's talent for sure. So But these Dynamites are doing their job. After every Dynamite every week, I'm getting more and more excited for All In coming up on July 12th, which I will check out what the ticket sales are doing. Let's see if I can find an update here. Usually WrestleTix does a pretty good job with the updates. Let me see here. Last time I think I checked, it was getting close to 20,000. But I know that's not where they would like it. 1 hour, this isn't for All in Texas, but 1 hour ago for the Dynamite and Collision in Glasgow on Wednesday, October 20th. This current setup 6,606 with 5,241 tickets being distributed. So available tickets are at 1,365, up 48 since the last update 8 days ago. It's still 59 days till that show. So, let's see here. Collision last night, it had about 1,894 people in attendance for 2,403 setups. So there was about 509 or so tickets that went unclaimed. Not seeing a recent update from WrestleTix for Grand Slam. Let's see. I think his last update was back on June 11th, and I think I read those numbers off last week, but I'll read them again. As of June 11th, there had been 17,485 tickets distributed, and the current setup was 20,983. So that means as of June 11th, there was 3,498 tickets available. And his last update 7 days prior to that, 1,406 tickets had been moved. So you'll see the total number of seats on the map for the total capacity of Globe Life Field where the Texas Rangers play is 43,119. So it'll be interesting here with now less than 3 weeks remaining to see where the final number hits. And maybe they have a good walk-up crowd. I know with StarCast going on that weekend, that'll bring a lot of people into town too. So to see legends, see current AEW talent. So we shall see. I thought Jon Moxley and AR Fox had a good match to kick things off last night on Collision. That gets a thumbs up and a like for me. Of course, Moxley won. But AR Fox is over yet again with the crowd. Wherever AEW goes right now, if AR Fox is on TV, he gets over. So can't ask for much more out of him. After the match, Mox, there's a lot of M's there. Mox connected with the Death Riders, grabbed the mic, said he's been watching Hangman piss away his God-given gifts for years. He's sick of waiting for him to get his act together of the Crybaby Cowboy on June 12th at All In. He's going to run the Hangman out of the wrestling business for good. He's going to send him back to his farm to count chickens or whatever he does because he doesn't belong in this business. Strong words from Mox, but sorry, Mox. You are losing that title at All In on July 12th. And that's early Tanner prediction. That'll be on my prediction for All In. I am taking Hangman. For what points? I don't know yet, but taking Hangman. Adam Cole, Roderick Strong, Bandito, and Daniel Garcia versus Proto Shita and FTR. Good match. I was fine with it. I'm kind of in the middle between a thumbs up and a thumbs down. We've seen this combination of all these guys in one way or the other many, many times. Just seems like this Collision kind of seems like the Adam Cole show lately, which is kind of odd. FTR and Pro Shita got the win. After the match, they beat up the baby faces and the Outrunners come down and everyone scatters. So I don't know if we're going to get FTR versus the Outrunners at All In. You know, at one time I thought we'd get FTR versus Cope and Christian, but that, of course, the can's been kicked down the road. I think we'll get that at All Out now on September 20th in Toronto instead. Sounds like Christian wants to see out his story with the patriarchy longer than was initially planned. So maybe we get FTR and the Outrunners. Hopefully we get Kyle Fletcher versus Adam Cole for the TNT title at All In. I think it's time to give Fletcher a title. And really, I'm glad Adam Cole got his first singles title finally in AEW after being in the company now since, what was it, September 22, I think, when he debuted. Or is that 21? I think it was September 21 when he debuted. So darn near 4 years ago. It was at All Out. Yeah, it was September 21. So they finally got his first singles gold in AEW, but I don't know if anything's been really great about his TNT title run so far. So I think Fletcher could benefit from the belt a lot more. Swerve Strickland versus Shane Taylor. Anytime Swerve's on my TV, that gets a like and a thumbs up for me. I think Shane Taylor's really good, really talented. He's featured heavily in ROH. I wish he'd be more featured consistently on AEW. But Swerve in the end got the win. After the match, Nana danced with all the money in his shirt. So yeah. Time was Tony Storm. Cut a great promo. Gets a thumbs up and a like for me. She's disappointed in Mercedes. She said, "You said we'd have the biggest women's match of all time. You've been eating steak, playing on your phone, and trying to kiss me. You're still in Mexico because you have won yet another title. Is that all I am to you? Is that all this is to you? Another trophy for your shelf, another toy for your collection. Now, I want to say this as nicely as possible, Mercedes. I am not some other MFer," she pretty much says. I don't feel like getting this explicit, so I'm not going to go down a ship rabbit hole. I am timeless Tony Storm. I am the AEW Women's World Champion. And if you make one false move, I'm going to eat you alive. I demand your best, Mercedes, because that is what you are. One day my reign will be over, and there's nobody more deserving than you. The day I met you, I knew what you were destined to be. You are the first woman to wrestle at Madison Square Garden, the Tokyo Dome, Wembley Stadium, and Arena, Mexico. But I was the last woman to wrestle at Wodonda Sports and Leisure Center before it closed down for a cockroach infestation. I sincerely believe you are the greatest of all time. I am not, nor was I ever meant to be. I am a maniac, neurotic, erotic, sexually questionable, consecutively sweaty, bottom heavily, transathletic. And when this belt is in my bosom, I make magic happen. So unless you plan on pulling a ribbon from your ass, I highly doubt you can say the same. So it all in front of the entire world, and that little girl watching from home. You will look me in the eye and you will realize that I'm going to have to beat you. And you're going to have to kill me. Good stuff. That's how you raise the feud. That's how you raise the level of this feud. That's what I'm talking about. Let's get it going on the mics, ladies. Let's get it going. Got 3 more dynamites and 3 more collisions. All in. Let's get it going. Hologram, Willow, and Mark Briscoe versus Tyler Valkyrie and MXM. I did not watch this match. I see the conglomeration one. Once again, with Mark Briscoe, I don't know how many times I have to say it. I like the guy. He's crazy, but he's getting a little stale for me. Getting a little stale. Don Callis came to the ring with Josh Alexander, Lance Archer to announce that Okada's officially a member of the Don Callis family. Like I said, that gets thumb downs for me because, okay, is he part of the Elite and the Callis family or just the Callis family now? If so, why? Why are we adding another person to the Don Callis family? Don't think it's needed. But Briscoe came out, told him to shut up. He said he's Omega's friend because Callis is pretty much saying Omega doesn't have any friends. And he's not the only one. Kota Ibushi comes out. Lance Archer charges up the ramp, gets attacked. Ibushi takes out Alexander. Okada gets in the ring. They have a stare down before coming to blows. Like I said, all for it. Christian Cage has a big announcement. This gets a thumb down for me. I'm just ready for the patriarchy to end. I'm ready to get Cope and Christian back together. I don't know how we get there, but I'm ready for them to get back together eventually. But he pretty much says it's time for Nick Wayne to walk next to him and for them to become the first ever father and son AEW Tag Team Champions. Bill, it looks like we're getting a slow face turn for Big Bill and Brian Keith, though. So Bill trash talked about Mother Wayne, tells him to come to the ring. Christian tells Bill he doesn't call the shots. He does, and he refuses before leaving. So maybe we're getting that match all in. Nick Wayne and Christian versus Big Bill and Brian Keith. I don't know. You got to think Jericho's going to be coming back soon. He'll get back involved with the learning tree guys of Big Bill and Brian Keith. So Jericho should be coming back. Cope should be coming back. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I think the Cope return got stalled. I mean, he's going to come back with a vengeance at FTR for sure. So And I'll make that prediction right now that he gets involved in FTR's match. Say they do go against the Outrunners at All In. Cope gets involved. Cope gets involved there. And it wouldn't shock me to see Chris Jericho to return and somehow get involved in this, assuming we get a Christian Cage Nick Wayne match against the Learning Tree. So we saw Jet Speed, which is Kevin Knight and Speedball Mike Bailey are calling themselves now Jet Speed versus the Gates of Agony. And Ricochet was on commentary here. Jet Speed won. I like this team of Kevin Knight and Speedball Mike Bailey. I think they're fantastic. They're very entertaining. Speedball is one of my favorite guys to watch now in the company already. Kevin Knight's, I like him too. He's growing on me big time too. So, yeah, I'm all for those guys winning. And I think the Gates of Agony would be good heaters for Ricochet. He's looking for two more people to kind of align himself with. I think those types of people would be good for Ricochet. I know a lot of people thought Crew with Leo Rush and Action Andretti. Nah, too small. I think big guys like Gates of Agony would be good. Tekla, Megan Bay, Penelope Ford, and Athena took on Thunder Rosa, Queen Amanada, and TJ in the main event. Athena, Megan Bay, Penelope Ford, and Tekla got the win after seeing Red Velvet interfere, and she slid Athena her title so she could hit Thunder Rosa with it. So, yeah, I can get on board with Athena and Billy Starks and Red Velvet being a little faction. That'd be some good stuff. Seems like Thunder Rosa and Athena has been a nice little feud on ROH, and we're getting that on the 11th, on the ROH pay-per-view on the 11th from down there in Dallas. So, good stuff. Glad to see. This is what I like. I like to see if we're only going to get one women's match, make it the main event, which we did. We got Willow and Taya Valkyrie in the mixed tag match there. We got a good promo from Timeless Tony Storm. So we got a lot more women's action on Collision after not getting much on Dynamite. So, yeah, very strong women's main event there. Good stuff. Gets a thumbs up for me. Gets a like. I just wish Athena was on AEW television more. Just don't know why they couldn't have her on more consistently. We see the guys, the men that are title holders for ROH consistently defending their titles on AEW television week in and week out. I don't know why we can't get Athena defending her ROH Women's World title consistently. Oh, that makes sense for me. Probably something we'll never really find out why. But all ladies, good in this match. Thumbs up for me. So overall, from what I saw, pretty solid Collision from Seattle, Washington. So let's see what we got coming up on Dynamite this upcoming Wednesday, 25th. We'll see what is confirmed. Kota Ibushi will be competing in singles action, but we don't know his opponent. It's got to be in Kent, Washington. Is that all that's confirmed so far? Not seeing anything else. Let me go to Twitter and see if there's anything else confirmed for Dynamite upcoming. Sure not seeing anything, but let's see. Oh, and Collision's going to be on Thursday. So Dynamite and Collision both tape Wednesday night. Collision will air on Thursday, both from Kent, Washington. I'm not seeing any. I mean, we're 20 days out from All In. I'm seeing that graphic here. I am not seeing anything else advertised for Dynamite on Wednesday. So I'm assuming stay tuned to the AEW social media channels the next few days, and there'll be a lot more being announced. So, but another good week of AEW action. Feel like they're cooking right now. Got the momentum moving in the right direction. It's been a fun product to watch. I think they're putting on their best product they've had since 2022. So I think they're pushing the right buttons. Of course, WWE's still got a ton of buzz just with the TKO stuff, but that product hasn't been nearly as good, I don't think, in 2025 opposed to AEW so far. So, yes, hopefully everybody enjoyed this this quick edition of the Kicking Out podcast this week. Sorry, like I said, I couldn't take any questions or comments. Didn't really feel like going live in the middle of the day, so I thought I would just record this, have it go live for everybody viewing it for the first time at a normal time of 8:30 p.m. Eastern. But of course, we'll be all watching the Pacer game. Hopefully, when we're talking to you next Sunday, hopefully it'll be all three of us again live at 8:30 p.m. Eastern on June 29th. As we'll be recapping another great week of AEW action. And hopefully by then, the Pacers will be NBA champions for the first time in their franchise history. But until then, you can like us and follow us on all social media platforms at Kicking Out Pod. You can follow me at TannerLee92. You can follow Shep at TheShep27. And you can follow Paul at PaulZartman87. If you want to support our podcast and look great doing so, you can buy our merch at KickingOutShop.com. And also, we have t-shirts also available on Pro Wrestling Tees. Just go on there and search for Kicking Out Podcast. You'll find some t-shirts on there that are only exclusively available on Pro Wrestling Tees and not available on KickingOutShop.com. If you're listening to this podcast on your favorite podcast platform, whether that be Apple Podcasts or Spotify or any of the others, please give us a 5-star rating and review. It just takes a few seconds to do that, and we really appreciate it, and it helps us out more than you know. Helps us out with the algorithms and the rankings and everything. So please, 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 even if you're watching this on YouTube or on Facebook, which we appreciate, and give us that thumbs up on the video itself. That helps us a lot with the algorithm too. If you wouldn't mind going over on your favorite podcast platform and also giving us a rating and review, it just really helps us out. Especially those ratings really help us out on YouTube. Giving us the thumbs up on the videos and giving us those ratings on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Cannot stress that enough. So with that being said, we will be joining you next week at 8:30 p.m. Eastern time as we kick out yet another podcast. Have a great week, everybody.
This is where I say goodbye and good night